Hello, I'm Michael Giltz, covering the Cannes Film Festival for the Huffington Post.
And I'm J. Sperling Reich, covering the Cannes Film Festival for Showbiz Sandbox.
That was very Siskel and Ebert, I realized. Anytime two people trade off like that, it sounds like Siskel and Ebert to me.
Possibly, yes.
Well, we're here at the Cannes Film Festival, and we've seen 4 films already, and I have to say the mood is pretty generous. The crowds have been very polite to the movies. Critics at Cannes are known for booing lustily if they hate a film, or, walking out in stony silence. Rarely and begrudgingly do they clap and applaud. Some factions might, and others will boo louder if they think you're applauding a film they didn't approve of. This year, they've been pretty nice to all 4 films. I have to say, I'm a little surprised. The first movie was the opening night film, Woody Allen's Midnight in Paris. I know you're a Woody Allen fan. What did you think of the film?
Yes, I'm a Woody Allen fan of his earlier work, so, it sounds like, I like David Bowie's music, but just, Ziggy Stardust in his earlier work. But in this case, I loved Woody Allen's early movies, Sleepers, Annie Hall, Manhattan, Crimes and Misdemeanors is a great film, Match Point is a great film. These last couple of years, these films seem to be the same exact film, told again and again, just in different European cities. So Vicky Cristina, Barcelona, You'll Meet a Tall Dark Stranger, and now Midnight in Paris. Midnight in Paris was a lot of fun. It was very funny and, harkened back to the roaring 20s in Paris, but still, it was kind of left you feeling empty.
It was a trifle. I mean, if you're really a Woody Allen fan and you really want to see a new movie by him, it'll be fine. It's painless. It's not bad like Curse of the Jade Scorpion or whatever.
No.
But it's certainly not good by any stretch of the imagination, and no comparison to his great works. But I have to say, the critics here were pretty kind to it. They were all sort of like, oh, it was fun.
Yes, and well, do you want to explain what it's about?
Not really. It's kind of boring. In fact, in my review, I did not give away the spoiler.
Okay.
It's Owen Wilson is a screenwriter, and he's visiting Paris with his fiancée and her parents, who he hates, and they hate him. And he's unhappy. He wants to be a novelist, and he wants to write the great American novel and stop churning out stupid Hollywood movies. And he doesn't get along with her at all, and he wants to fall in love with the romance of Paris, and she just wants to head on home.
Yes. That's pretty much the.
Yeah, and if you watch the trailer, you'll get a spoiler in there.
Yeah, there's a
twist.
You've avoided all the spoilers. Yes.
I have. And in my review, I even that. But it's going to be in all the trailers, so I don't know why we're avoiding it. But there you are. Carla Bruni is in it, the wife of the president of France, of Nicolas Sarkozy.
Did we find out whether she actually showed up last night?
I'm sure they did. I mean, we don't see critics see movies at 8:30 in the morning.
Because that's a great time to watch movies, especially when you've flown halfway around the world to see them. You're not tired at all. That's
why I arrive a few days early. So there are screenings all day long from 8:30 in the morning to midnight and later. But one of the big screenings every day is crack of dawn, 8:30 in the morning. And so we see them in the morning, then they have the black tie, elaborate premiere that night, which we don't go to because we're the, soiled masses.
Yeah, we're pretty much the hoi polloi. We don't get to go.
And that's where the president of France showed up. He and his wife were presumably there last night. If we read the papers today, we would know, but we were busy seeing other movies. The second movie we saw yesterday was a stark art film, and it's called
Sleeping Beauty, and it was directed by Julia Leigh.
She's an Australian novelist.
Yes.
And I haven't read any of her books. I like to prepare for Cannes by reading as many of the books I can that the movies are based on, like Drive, which stars Ryan Gosling, or there's a couple other movies. Oh, the Pedro Almodovar film. I read the book Mowgli, which is by Thierry Jonquet. So it's a dark noir. In this case, I might have read one of her novels if I'd been aware that she was a writer before she made this debut, but I didn't. It's a very serious art film. It's the sort of movie where you spend half the film trying to figure out who's who, who's related to who, what are they doing, and you spend the rest half of the movie trying to figure out if you care.
Right, or what's going to happen, because you would expect something to happen once the setup is done, and nothing happens at all.
Right. It's a film about a young woman who's perhaps a college student. She's taking some courses in game theory, and she works like 5 jobs, including a prostitute, a high-class call girl, and she gets involved in a very, very kinky sex ring where she's not having sex necessarily, but she'll dress in lingerie for dinner parties with nude women also serving food, and then she gets involved in Sleeping Beauty.
Needless to say, this film is not going to be nominated for Best Costume Design.
Were you kidding? That lingerie was awesome.
Well, the lingerie was awesome.
You didn't like the lingerie?
But there was very little of it. Let's put it that way.
That was what's so good about it. But it's a very serious film. Eyes Wide Shut is the obvious comparison.
Yes.
If you think of the orgy scene in Eyes Wide Shut, you'll have an idea of the sort of debauched European air that they're trying to create in this movie. I found it fairly silly, but I will say that Julia Leigh is a very serious director. She clearly has an eye. It was very well composed, well made, very thought out. The performance by Emily Browning was interesting. I don't recommend the movie, but I definitely want to keep an eye on Julia Leigh as a talent.
Yes, I thought the movie showed a lot of potential for her, future work, but the film itself is not really much.
Though again,
story-wise, there was nothing there. It was visually stunning at times.
Yeah, it definitely had its adherents as well. Again, the first 4 movies were almost all well received by a fair number of people. Usually a film festival, if it lasts about 10 days, you'll find that the first 2 or 3 days are dreadful. You'll be slogging through movies they put all the bad stuff early and at the end. And in the middle, when everyone is in the festival and right in the zone, that's when they tend to program their biggest movies, the ones they think will work.
Well, that this year, that's when Pirates of the Caribbean is going to show.
Well, that's not a competition film.
That's when Tree of Life is going to show, the Terrence Malick film.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Yeah, right. So that's just a way festivals work. So you don't expect to see movies that are anything other than just dull and awful in the first day or two. And in this year, people have liked them.
Well, certainly when you come to Cannes, you definitely expect to see a few films that are going to be hardcore downers.
Well, sure.
And I think we saw 2 of them today, starting at 8:30 in the morning, the second day of the festival. Now, you say you read all the books.
That's right.
Before you come to Cannes. We need to talk about Kevin, is the name of a film that was directed by Lynn Ramsey. Ratcatcher was one of her films, as was, I'm going to misprint,
Morvern Caller,
which, was now this new film is based on a book.
That's right. It's a book is called We Need to Talk About Kevin, written by a woman named Lionel Shriver. It was a huge bestseller in the UK. It's about a school shooting and about the mother of a child who becomes a school shooter.
And I don't think you're giving anything away.
No.
Because you kind of figured that out pretty early on.
No, that's not a secret. That's not a spoiler. It's a big bestseller in the UK. It's a very well-known property there. Tilda Swinton plays the mother of a boy who grows up to kill other people in his school. And so it's all about her relationship with him as a child and her relationship with him after he's committed this crime in her life, after the horror of what happened.
And how she overcomes her own trauma.
Well, it's not exactly a story of triumph and overcoming odds. It's a very, very serious film. Very strong visual touches by Lynn Ramsey. I didn't think it really emotionally connected all the dots that the book did. I felt like there were some missed opportunities. I saw them trying to do it. I don't think they necessarily succeeded, but it's a well-acted movie. I think Tilda Swinton was perfect casting. She's one of my favorite actresses. And the audience, again, there were some strong supporters of the movie.
Yes, I think a lot of people liked that film. It was... the only criticism I heard about it was that it was directed with somewhat of a heavy hand. That Lynn Ramsey is a visual stylist. She's the cinematography.
There was a lot of red in the movie.
A lot of red in the movie.
There's a bloody...
Lots of extreme close-ups. Lots of fractured. It was a fractured narrative, and so there were lots of these fuzzy images, kind of going in and out of focus in scenes where you weren't really sure what was going on, but yet it all seemed to gel in the end.
Right.
And so, I enjoyed it. As much as one can enjoy a film like that.
Any movie that's well made is good. It doesn't matter if it's about a depressing or sad topic. I don't think because the movie's about a school shooting that it's hard to watch. If it's well made, it's exciting.
Yes, and this was a very well made movie, and certainly the strongest of the festival that I've seen so far, until the 11 o'clock screening today, which was by a former Palme d'Or winner.
That's right, Gus Van Sant, the director of Elephant, which won the Palme d'Or, and of course Good Will Hunting and My Own Private Idaho and so many other movies. He was here with a film in the Uncertain Regard section, I think.
It is, yes, and it's out of competition?
It's not in competition.
No.
There's levels of, there's all sorts of movies being screened at Cannes. There are movies in the market, which are just being shown to buyers around the world. Hey, buy our movie. Like Juan of the Dead, a Latino movie about zombies. There are movies in different categories like Directors Fortnight and Critics Week, which aren't even technically officially part of Cannes, even though they really are. And then there's Uncertain Regard and Commodore. And then there's the main competition, which has usually about 20 to 22 films, and you try to see all of those. So movies can appear in all these areas. Usually once you work your way into competition, you don't often come back out again.
But I think the reason that his film Restless, Gus Van Sant's film Restless, is not in competition this year is because he's already won an award. And I think he may have requested not to be in competition. I could be wrong about that. but
we could be talking out of school, but from what I understand is they had it scheduled for Sundance. Sony wasn't quite sure what to do with it. They didn't know if they had an art film or a popular movie. It's sort of like a Twilight for without the vampires.
Well,
it's a romantic movie that will appeal to teenage girls very much.
Well, it stars Mia Wasikowska.
Yes, who's terrific, I must say. I mean, she's a lovely, lovely young woman. She's not terrific in this film. I mean to say she's just lovely. She looks like a young Mia Farrow.
Yes.
And Henry Hopper, who's a handsome young man himself. And as a pick-me-up after we need to talk about Kevin, a movie about school shootings, we have a romantic drama about two young lovers, about a boy whose parents have died in a car crash and attends funerals a la Harold and Maude, and a girl who has cancer and is about to die.
Right, and you kind of figure that out before they...
It's about 10 minutes in,
yeah. So we're not giving anything away there. I thought it was a truly moving film.
Really?
Very well directed and shot in Portland, where Gus Van Sant is from. He's very good at capturing Portland. And there wasn't a dry eye in the house, except for these two right here.
There were plenty.
His eyes were dry.
There were plenty of dry eyes. There were plenty of dry eyes in the house. It's geared towards 15-year-old girls. It's Harold and Maude, except instead of falling in love with an old woman, he falls in love with a sexy young woman, and he's kind of hot himself. Apologies to Bud Cort. It's a very silly, trite film. It's just a weepy. It's just a weepy for teenage girls. I'm surprised anybody liked it at all, frankly. It could be mildly commercial for a young. If they aim it at girls, they seem to now think it's an art house movie because Sony Pictures Classics is releasing it. I would have just put their pictures on a poster and got it out in March and aimed it at the girls who are waiting for the next Twilight movie.
But don't you think Cannes lends it some kind of
credence
or some heavy...
No, not at all. No one in America is going to go to it because it played in a certain regard at Cannes.
Oh, it's an official selection at a film festival. That does
It's not an official selection means it's in competition, I believe.
No, just means you're selected. Same thing with Sundance and Toronto. You don't have to be in competition.
Right. Nobody gives a damn. That doesn't add any commercial clout to a movie.
Well,
winning the Palme d'Or, frankly, doesn't help that much in the U.S. Cannes is incredibly important in Europe. It's certainly akin to the European Oscars. It has a huge amount of clout internationally. In the U.S., I think it can help a little bit if you win the Palme d'Or, but it's not a huge driver of box office. It's really an artistic festival. It's a festival where winning it establishes you as a director of the first rank for the critics around the world.
That's right. Now it is a festival with a competition, and the films that we've seen that were in competition were We Need to Talk About Kevin and Sleeping Beauty.
Yeah.
And
it's very early days. We have 9 days.
Yeah.
But there you go. So that's the festival. We've got about 2 or 3 more screenings to see today. We go see movies till 10 at night. They begin at 10 at night. So we might end at midnight, or tomorrow, Saturday night, there's a movie that starts at midnight. So we're going from 8:30 in the morning till midnight or 2 in the morning, and then all back again the next day. And there's so many more movies. It's a constant jigsaw puzzle trying to figure out, I can see this at 2 and that at 4:20 and that at 5, 7. It's a crazy time.
Whereas I just I don't worry about what to see when.
You just follow us?
I just follow the crowd.
All right. So
that's actually not true, but
yes,
I see mostly the competition films and most of the official selections. I try to not necessarily stick around the market because you never know when you'll see those movies.
So that's what we're doing, and check back in for more video down the road.
Yeah, you started this by saying that we sounded a lot like Siskel and Ebert in introducing ourselves, and then in the end we disagreed about just about everything except for maybe Sleeping Beauty.
Yeah, I was nonplussed by everything so far.
And Midnight in Paris.
Yeah. Well, how many stars did you give that out of 4?
I don't do the whole star thing, but I would give it like 2.
Yeah. Well, I gave it 2.
Okay.
That's not a recommendation.
No, that is not a recommendation.
Okay.
But, as Michael was probably about to say before I rudely interrupted him, you can find Michael's work on the Huffington Post, and you'll be filing every day.
Yeah.
And we'll be doing one of these little short videos every day.
Mostly every day. Don't make promises you can't keep.
That is true.
And you can find our podcast on showbizsandbox.com. You can also find it at links at the bottom of all the work I do on Huffington Post.
You can also subscribe to it on iTunes or in the Zune Marketplace or in your RSS reader. I guess that's it for today.
All right, thanks a lot.
Day 1 and 2 of the Cannes Film Festival.
Day 1.5.
Yeah, pretty much.